Good afternoon. Welcome to this digital workshop from Episcopal Parish Network and in cooperation with Godly Play Foundation and Being With. We are so thrilled to have James and Heather with us today to share an Advent gift for you and for the church at large. This session is being recorded, and we hope that you will share it within your networks when you receive the link later today. Episcopal Parish Network is pleased to wrap up the year of digital workshops with this particular session. We are really excited about having James and Heather here to talk a little bit about formation in this moment and give you some food for thought as we head into the last days of Advent and a lovely Christmas season. So on behalf of Episcopal Parish Network, we wish you a blessed Advent and a wonderful Christmas tide. And with no more ado, I will turn it over to Heather. Heather?
Thank you so much, Joe. It is the season of joy, but thank you, Joe.
It is. Amen.
Um, I am delighted to be here. I'm Heather Ingersoll, the Executive Director for the Godly Play Foundation, and I know many of you know Godly Play, but if you don't, Godly Play is an imaginative approach to religious education focused on the spirituality of children. And we spend time particularly with children, but also with adults and people of all ages, diving into the stories of our faith through storytelling, through wonder, and through play. And we are going to experience a bit of that in our time together. So I'm thrilled to offer this opportunity for you to experience the story of Advent through the way we engage in godly play and being with. So with that, I will invite James to share a bit about being with.
Thank you, Heather. I wonder if I can share a little bit about being with by telling you a story. In May this year, I was sat in a room with 12 strangers. The youngest of them was 22, and she was from Hong Kong. And she had found herself in a new city and was feeling somewhat isolated and lonely. And the oldest was 83. And he was trying to reconnect with his faith, and he was a widower, and he felt he'd lost his faith decades before. We were 6 weeks into the 10-week course and had already covered topics like Jesus and church and Bible and meaning. And that particular week was mission. And we'd been welcoming, and as part of being with, we welcome each other every week with, I wonder what the heart of your week is. And we learned loads about each other's lives through that process, stories of work and its joy and its struggles, stories of those out of work, stories with those with long-term illness and death, and stories of people who are not even sure why they were in the room. And then after our welcome, we moved on to our wanderings together. And each week we have 4 wanderings that had prompted really deep responses from people about stories from their lives with real vulnerability and real honesty, and it was incredible. And these wanderings were pointing to the work of the Spirit in people's lives, in their day-to-day lives, in truth, beauty, and goodness, and not trying to fix one another, but just trying to profoundly be with one another. And so anyway, after the story, there's this reflection time, and one of the guests began to smile. And I imagine he was in his 30s and a young professional. And he was like, I get it. You've been here with me as I've shared some of the deepest things. I've not even thought about some of these things before, and I've certainly not even shared them with my partner. And I've shared all the things I consider to be my failings and all things I've considered to be my successes and everything in between. And you've simply been here with me. You've been here with me like God is with me. And the penny had dropped. For a second, the fog had lifted. The method was the message, and he understood and he got it. God was with him, and God desires to be with him. And that's what being with is all about. And that's what Sam Wells and Sally Hitchner created being with to do is to help people to explore faith in new and profound ways by helping them to understand that God's ultimate desire is to be with them. The Holy Spirit has been at work in their lives since day one, and that God's message is the same as God's method. And in that story, it was so amazing to connect with those people. I don't know whether they all had an experience of God or refound their faith, but they certainly all connected with one another. And I bumped into one of them a month or so ago, and she said, 6 months on, they're still meeting all together. 6 of them have decided to go to church together here at St. Martin's in Trafalgar Square, but 12 of them all meeting together every 2 weeks at the local pub, which is incredible. So that's a little bit about being with and what we try and do. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of being with, as Heather said, and a little bit of godly play over this next 50 minutes. And wondered whether we could just jump straight in with a being with welcome, which is, I wonder what the heart of your week is. It's not necessarily the highlight or the low light. It's not designed to make for you to cheer people up, but it's the heart of your week. I'd like you to have a think about that. For me, the heart of my week this week has definitely been a sense of moving towards Christmas, trying to tie up some loose ends, trying to make sure that I'm all ready to hit the road running in January. But it's definitely a sense of tying up things and preparing for Christmas and preparing for a bit of a break. Heather, I wonder what the heart of your week has been.
Thank you, James. The heart of my week really started on Sunday. I was invited to essentially lead a practice, a grounding moment in church around the idea of gratitude. And it dove me into the idea of gratitude in the midst of challenging emotions of the season, grief and maybe sadness, all the emotions that we as humans kind of experience, and thinking about gratitude not as I should be grateful, but as an outpouring of our experience as humans. And that sort of culminated in a couple hours ago when I was in my son's classroom watching them share a reader's theater. And he's in second grade, and seeing the joy and the dedication of the teachers and his friends, and just being grateful for that piece of his world. So I'm living in gratitude right now.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you. I'd like to give you just a couple of minutes now to wonder what the heart of your week is. As I said, not necessarily the highlight or the low light, but the heart of your week as you're sitting where you're sitting in your context. Thank you so much for sharing. And very quickly, can you say what is meant by the heart of your week? It is not necessarily, it's whatever you take it to mean. the thing that is sitting with you that is most that is what feels like the center or the heart of your week. We're going to move on to wanderings. Now, in a being with course, there would normally be 4 wanderings at the start of a being with course, but we're just going to do 2 tonight. And I'm going to just do them one at a time. I'm going to pop them into the chat one at a time. And then we are give you a bit of time to reflect on them. Wanderings are not questions, they are wanderings. Questions tend to have wrong or right answers. Wanderings can take us in whichever way they may take us. They're not just about what we are thinking, but they're also perhaps about what we might be feeling. So the first wandering is, I wonder what it's like to have to wait a long time. I wonder what it's like to have to wait a long time. We're going to give you a few minutes to wonder that, and put your wanderings and response into the chat as we take a few minutes to think about that, to wonder about that. Thank you for those who have shared. This wandering feels quite pertinent to me today. I was running a project a couple of years ago for 5 years that was really great, but unfortunately we had to shut it down over COVID, and it's taken 2 years of trying to close it down, and people have been very hurt, and it's been a very painful process, and it's still ongoing, and we're still waiting. And today I received an email this morning from the lawyers about the money that's still involved in the project and how we're going to end that. And it just feels so slow and so long and so painful. And sort of not really even knowing how long it's going to be is some of the painful part, and not having any control over like how long it might be. And that has been really tough.
Thank you, James. There are so many beautiful responses in the chat. I'm going to read a few. Joyce says, there's usually a lot of worry about when the end will come and impatience. Joan, I wonder what God hears when our band plays and sings choir, and our choir sings. Ellen says, self-doubt. And another response, I wonder if waiting a long time might be God's time, holy time. Mary says, painful and lonely. Edie, I wonder what it's like not to have to wait. Other, waiting can be anxious time, needing to push against fear and doubt to see the gifts God present. Beth says, waiting for a long time is good, but hard. We aren't used to it. Waiting helps us slow down, be quiet, hear God's voice in our increasingly noisy world. Jack says, waiting is the gap between what is and what we hope to be. And Catherine, how long will it be until I don't ask how long will it be?
Thank you. Thank you so much for those wonderings. Our next wondering is, tell about a time you thought you were prepared, but were still surprised. Tell about a time you thought you were prepared, but were still surprised. I'm going to give you a few minutes now to wonder with that one.
Well, I can share my response to that wondering. And I think there may have been a few others who had this similar response, but certainly welcoming both my children, everything from the birth to the first few days to weeks to months to now years. It always feels like we're preparing, but I'm continually surprised in the process of being a parent.
Thank you, Heather. Yes, Martha has mentioned the birth of her first child. L'Oreal mentioned I thought I was prepared for my mum's death. She was 88, but was surprised. How could she leave us? And Jack mentions about her transplant he had and some of the parts that he had missed and didn't and had learned. Joan, preparing for sermon, surprised at emotion it evoked to me when delivering it. A leader for a recent Interfaith Action Network gathering, prepared with an agenda and flow, but was surprised how the Spirit moved us in vulnerable connections. Amazing. I was prepared when I interviewed for this ministry position to not be hired due to my age, but God laughed, and here I am. I love my work. I'm grateful to be able to continue God's work. Situations in my nursing career and my ministry where after the fact I realised that I had stepped out of the way, God took over and handled the situation. Great. Thank you so much for what you've shared. Thank you for the privilege that it is to hear that. I'm going to pass over to Heather.
Thank you, James. So now we will enter a time of story. If you know the Godly Play Advent story, this will sound familiar, but a little bit different. This video was created as part of a new program we have funded by the Lilly Endowment. And it is a program to support parents and caregivers in the faith formation of their children at home. And so this is a new video that we created in the spirit of Godly Play to expand our work, and you are one of the first to see it. So I hope that you enjoy it. And after the video, we will spend some time together wondering about that story together.
Everything has changed.
Now is the time of the color blue.
Blue is a strong color. It is the color of sky just after twilight. It is a serious color, and something serious is going to happen. This blue is because a king is coming, but he is not the kind of king that people thought was coming. This king had no army, no palace, and no gold. This king was a baby who was born in a barn.
The king who was coming is still coming. This is full of mystery. You know, a mystery is sometimes very hard to enter. That is why this time of Advent is so important. It helps us get ready to enter the mystery of Christmas.
Sometimes people walk right through a mystery and do not even know it is there. This time of year, you will see people hurrying in the stores, buying things and doing this and that, but they miss the mystery of Christmas. They don't know how to get ready to enter a mystery, or maybe they forgot.
The church learned a long time ago that people need a way to get ready to enter, or even come close to a mystery like Christmas. The church set aside 4 weeks to get ready. Christmas is such a great mystery that it takes that long.
During this time, we are all on the way to Bethlehem. We are all making the journey. We are all getting ready to enter the mystery of Christmas. So let's go. With the prophets the Holy Family, the shepherds, the angels, and the Magi to make the journey.
On the first Sunday in Advent, we remember the prophets. They pointed the way to Bethlehem. Prophets are people who come so close to God, and God comes so close to them, that they know what is most important. They didn't know exactly what was going to happen there, but they knew where it was going to happen.
Here is the hand of the prophet. They said, "Stop. Watch. Pay attention. Something incredible is going to happen in Bethlehem."
Prophets are people who know the most important things. They know which way to go. They are the ones who showed us the way. Now we can go to Bethlehem too. There may even be prophets listening to this story right now.
This is the light of the prophets. Let's enjoy the light.
On the second week of Advent, we remember the Holy Family.
Do you see Bethlehem here, in the road? The Holy Family is on the way to Bethlehem, and we are going with them. Here is the Mother Mary. Here is the Father Joseph. Here is the donkey. Mary was about to have a baby. It is very hard to walk when you're about to have a baby, so sometimes she rode on the donkey. It is also hard to ride on a donkey when you're about to have a baby. So then she walked. She walked, then rode, walked, then rode. They must have been the last people coming up the road to Bethlehem that night.
Here is the light of the Holy Family. Let's enjoy the light.
On the third Sunday in Advent, we remember the shepherds. The shepherds were in the fields around Bethlehem keeping their sheep. They were trying to stay awake so the wolves could not come and get the sheep. Suddenly, there was so much light in the sky that it hurt their eyes. They were afraid. Their hearts were beating. When they could hear something besides their own hearts, they thought they heard singing in the sky. That also scared them until they heard the words of the song. The angels were singing, "Don't be afraid." Angels often say that because it is scary when you see an angel. The angels kept on singing, "Don't be afraid. We bring you tidings of great joy. Peace on earth and goodwill to everyone. A child is born. Go, hurry, run to Bethlehem to see the child who will change everything."
Look, there is something different about this candle. It is the color of roses. This is to remind us of the great joy the angels sing of. It also helps us remember that even if it is very serious to get ready to come close to the mystery of Christmas, you can't be serious all of the time as you get ready. This is the Sunday when it is time for a little celebration. There's one more thing about the color of roses. It is also one of the colors for the Mother Mary. We remember her, for without the Mother Mary, there would be no baby.
Let's enjoy the light of the shepherd.
On the fourth Sunday in Advent, we remember the three kings, the wise ones, the Magi. They came from far in the east, and they were so wise that people thought they were magic. In fact, we get our word magic from the name they were called in their own language, the Magi. Of all the things they knew the most about the stars. They knew where each star was supposed to be at each time of the year, so they could tell people when it was time to plant their crops, or take a trip on the ocean, or cross the high mountain passes when the snow wasn't too deep. Suddenly, they saw the wild star. It was not on any of their star maps. It did not stay put. They decided to follow the wild star to see where it was going and what it wanted to show them. They followed the star all the way to Bethlehem. But they came from so far away that they got there after the baby was born. Every year, they are late. They usually don't arrive until January 6th, 12 days after Christmas. We call their special day Epiphany, but we remember them today because, like us, they too are on the way to Bethlehem.
Let's enjoy the light of the Magi.
Look, when you come to the mystery of Christmas, everything changes. It becomes a time of joy and celebration. This is when the baby is born, the one we have been waiting for.
Here is the Christ child, the mystery of Christmas. This is amazing, but of all the creatures there that night, perhaps the most amazed was the old cow. When the old cow came up to her feed box in the morning to eat some straw, she found a baby lying in the manger. Someone had put a soft cover over the straw. The manger had become a bed. All the old cow could do was look and look at the baby with her big brown eyes.
Wait! Something's missing. Oh yes, the Christ candle. Now let's enjoy the light.
Now I want to show you something very strange and very important. Look, do you see how the flame is in just one place now? It is right here. When I change the light, it will no longer be there, but will go everywhere. Watch. Do you see it? It is no longer here in this one place. Now it is spreading out, getting thinner and thinner as it fills up the room with the light of the prophets. Anywhere you go now, you will be close to the prophets.
Watch. Do you see how the light of Mary and Joseph is just in this one place? I'm going to change the light so that it can be in every place. Do you see how the light is not gone? It has changed. It is not in one place. Now it is spreading out. The air is filling up with the light of the prophets and with the light of the Holy Family. Anywhere you go, you will come close to them today.
And here is the light of the shepherds. I am going to change the light. Do you see how it is in one place? Now it can be in every place.
Look, here is the light of the Magi. Watch. It is mixing with the shepherds, the Holy Family, and the prophets.
Now watch. There came a time when even this one light had to change. Watch. The light changes. It's filling up this room. It goes out the window, and it is spreading to each of you, wherever you are. Now, anywhere you go, you can come close to the whole mystery of Christmas. Now, anywhere you go, you can come close to the whole mystery of Christmas.
Okay, I'm going to leave my screen up so you can see the whole story as we wonder about it. And I invite you to share in the chat, and James and I will just go through and read some of your responses. I wonder what part of the story is most important. The light that goes everywhere. The simplicity of it all. And the spreading of the light. Lorianne agrees, the spreading of the light to everyone, everywhere. Someone says remembering, noticing again the mystery. Said a lovely quiet and faith booster. And yes, the spreading of the light everywhere. Light ever changing, the light entrusted to each of us. And Joyce, the reminder that the light that changes but doesn't go out. Saying I wish I could show it to our entire church. You can reach out to me and we could talk about that. And now I wonder, what part of the story is especially for you today? Maureen says the call to remember. Jack, that we join in a long history of travelers and the light turning to smoke and being everywhere with us. Like the Magi, I am traveling to Bethlehem and I am not alone. Joyce says that the birth of Christ is a mystery. There's a place for everyone, even old cows. Martha says, the voices of the children, somewhat halting, yet faithfully reciting the truth and beauty of the story, like each one of us playing out the wonder and rejoicing in the gift. Faith, seeking and walking with Jesus, is a journey. Joan says something about the different candle, the pink candle of roses and of Mary. Well, thank you everyone for this time of wondering. And we're going to move into a time of what we call our response time. In Godly Play, we follow the story and the wondering with a time of response, which is really an embodied experience to live into the wondering of the story. So it's a little bit different given that we are on screens and not in a place where we can have paint and crayons and markers. But we are going to invite you into a time of response in any way that feels best to you. So I want you to spend some time with this wondering prompt. I wonder what part of this you want to take with you into your final week of Advent and the beginning of Christmas. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. And I invite you for the next, we'll take about 6 or 7 minutes to respond to that prompt in any way. You might draw a picture, you might take a photo or take a few photos of things around you. You might just write something. And then when we're done, I invite you to take whatever you responded with, whether it's a photo or a picture or a note or something you wrote. I invite you to put that in an email and send that email to you, but schedule the email to send to you a week from now. So you will get this email next Thursday. I can't tell you fully how to do that on every email platform, but typically where there's a send button, you might see a little arrow or a few dots. If you click that, it often gives you an opportunity to send later. And so you can send it and schedule it. So we invite you to take your response and send it to you as a way to remember what you wanted to bring in to the final week of Advent and the beginning of Christmas with you. So I'm going to put that in the chat. Like I said, we'll take about 6 minutes. And then toward the end, I'll invite you to wrap up what you're doing and put it in an email.
Has that gone to everyone? I think you might.
Which James?
I've just sent it to everyone rather than just...
Did I send it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, James. Okay, thank you all. I'll invite you to wrap up your responses and send an email to yourself to come next Thursday. I just took a picture of my screen, just the opportunity to sit with your wonderings and your stories has been such a gift to me, and I will take that into my next week. James, anything you want to add or say before we end our time?
No, other than it was a privilege to hear the stories and be reminded of people's stories here now in 2023, but also the big story from 2000 years ago, and how these things all mysteries that we carry with us, and that they are things to be entered into, rather than problems to be solved.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you, Joe, for this opportunity. Thank you all for being here. We are going to end our time with a blessing. And this blessing actually is an excerpt from a sermon for the first Sunday in Advent from 1991, given by Jerome Berryman, who is the founder of Godly Play. So I just invite you to receive this blessing. Look up, raise your heads. Your redemption is drawing near. All the summer and winter of our days is circled about by its possibility. And where is this greatness to be found? It is to be found in smallness. It is to be found in the child. The child who is coming has no words yet. The child is silent. So let us approach in silence, deep silence. The child who is coming sells us no plan. He merely is, and his being draws us into the plan of creation. The child who is coming is curious. His eyes are open wide. He is delighted with everything, even us. There is a force there, an energy of discovery. Let us draw near in wonder. The child who is coming holds out his arms, and we are somehow empowered. Let us draw near and embrace such power. The child who is coming sees a mother and father and us. In the newness of being discovered, we become new. We become parents even if we have no children. Let us draw near as co-creators. The child who is coming is a king. He rules from the wooden court of a crib to the wood of the cross and makes all things new. Let us draw near with openness to be received in the vastness of such warmth. The child who is coming is all children, and yet only one. The child who is coming is so vivid and unique, and yet so transparent. He is love itself. Let us draw near with love. The child who is coming was born so long ago and so far away, and yet right here and now. Let us draw near with curiosity to see how this can be. The child who is coming, like all of us, was born to die, and yet his death was somehow a gate. Let us draw near with honest fear and yet with hope. The child who is coming is you, and you, and you, and even me. This is the child who can make us free. Let us draw near and discover who we really are. Blessings to all of you.